In 1998, Lincoln Rhyme, a forensic expert in New York City, heads to a crime scene under a tunnel. But something heavy falls on him, leaving him paralyzed and hospitalized. Meanwhile, a couple, Alan and Lindsay Rubin, take a taxi after landing from a flight. Lindsay wakes up to find they're going the wrong way, but the driver ignores them and continues driving, ignoring their pleas to stop. Rhyme wakes up to Thelma, his nurse, helping him and getting him some juice. Richard Thompson, who takes care of Rhyme's medical equipment, also stops by for a chat. Dr. Barry Lehman, Rhyme's friend, visits, and Rhyme tells him he wants to control how he passes away instead of waiting for a seizure that could leave him in a vegetative state. He says he'd do it even without Barry's help, but Barry agrees to support him. The next part shows Amelia Donaghy getting ready for work while her boyfriend, Steve, talks about wanting to deepen their relationship. However, Amelia explains she's not ready for a serious commitment. Later, she joins her police friends for breakfast and clears up misunderstandings about her job plans. Suddenly, she gets a call about a scared child at a location. Amelia rushes there and finds a recent murder scene with a missing finger bone. She spots some suspicious items on a train track and stops an approaching train to protect the evidence. Afterward, she takes a picture of the scene and sends the child to fetch some supplies while she investigates further. In the next part, Lindsay is still alive but in danger. The taxi driver, wearing a mask, pushes her into a steam tunnel and ties her up. The police arrive and find Alan Rubin dead. One officer, Polly, tries to show Rhyme the evidence, but Rhyme has a sudden medical issue, so Thelma asks them to leave while she helps him. Later, Rhyme is feeling better and examines the evidence left by Polly. He asks Thelma to upload the evidence photos for him to see more clearly. Rhyme is impressed with Amelia's work on the evidence and praises her instincts for forensics. He explains to them that he believes the crime scene was set up. Rhyme also reveals that Lindsay is still alive and in danger, as indicated by coded numbers on the evidence. He asks Amelia to join their team to solve the case, and although she's unsure at first, she agrees to help. In the next part, Rhyme gathers a team at his house to find out where the bone collector might be keeping Lindsay. Using clues from the crime scene, Rhyme tracks Lindsay's location. They rush to the scene, but they're too late. Lindsay has already been killed by a steam pipe. Rhyme instructs Amelia to collect evidence from the scene, including Lindsay's severed bone and a scrap of paper. He then tells her to cut off Lindsay's hands to get fingerprints, but Amelia refuses and leaves angrily. Later that night, Amelia goes home. Meanwhile, Rhyme looks into her background and learns that her father died by suicide, and she was the one who found him. At her house, Amelia hears a strange noise at her door and goes to see who it is. She grabs her gun and finds out it's her friend, Solomon, trying to enter through her window. He tells her that Rhyme has been trying to contact her and needs her to go to his place. In the next part, a man leaving a bar gets into the taxi of the serial killer. Amelia goes back to Rhyme's house, and he greets her. He shares what he found out about her dad and tells her not to blame herself for what happened. He encourages her, saying she has talent and shouldn't give up on being a cop and detective. Solomon tells Rhyme about a student who was kidnapped by a taxi driver, and the student's girlfriend reported it. Rhyme warns everyone to be ready, as he might be the next target of the killer. In the next scene, the taxi driver takes the victim to a slaughterhouse, ties him up, and cuts into his body to remove a bone, causing him to bleed and attract rats. Meanwhile, at Rhyme's house, Thelma notices his blood pressure is high and suggests he rests, but Rhyme ignores her and keeps trying to find the victim. Rhyme finally figures out where the victim is and tells Amelia and the police to go there. When they arrive, Amelia discovers that the victim is dead and his body has been attacked by rats. She scares away the rats by firing a gun. Polly and Solomon hear the gunshot and rush inside to check on her. Amelia tells Rhyme what happened to the victim and looks for any clues left behind by the killer. Police Captain Howard Cheney, who feels left out of the investigation, arrives and orders Rhyme to stop working on the case. He collects evidence from Amelia and insists she come with him for questioning at the police station. At the police station, Chaney tells a detective to check for fingerprints on the evidence from the scene to identify the killer and the taxi driver's license. They then go to the driver's address and find a dead body under the taxi with missing finger bones. Meanwhile, Amelia brings the evidence to Chaney's office and then goes to Rhyme's house. Rhyme is surprised to see her and she shows him a clue from the scene. Thelma brings a file from Eddie Ortiz, a detective who worked with them before. Rhyme asks Amelia to help him view the images and listens as she reads Eddie's message about similar homicides in the past year. Rhyme figures out that the killer was also involved in 4 suicides because they used the same method. Suddenly, Rhyme has a seizure, and Amelia calls for help. Thelma tries to help him until he gets better. Amelia asks if he'll be alright, and Thelma explains that he won't be happy if he recovers fully. This surprises Amelia, and she asks why. Thelma reveals that Rhyme has chosen to end his own life with the help of a doctor, so he won't have to live in a vegetative state if he has another seizure. Chaney goes to Rhyme's house to see him, but Thelma doesn't let him in, saying Rhyme is asleep. Chaney says he'll come back with permission to enter. Later, a grandfather and his granddaughter get into a taxi. The taxi drives away, and a police officer notices something odd about it. He follows and stops the driver, but the driver shoots him and drives off. Back at Rhyme's house, Amelia tries to comfort him, but he suddenly wakes up and starts talking, surprising her. They discuss the situation, and Thelma, who is asleep, is glad to see him talking. They get a call from Polly, who tells Rhyme about a taxi driver shooting a taxi inspector. Rhyme thinks the taxi driver might be the killer they're looking for. He tells Amelia they need to examine a scrap of paper more closely and realizes, with Thelma's help, that the scraps form a woman's face. Rhyme recognizes the image as a logo from an old book publisher he used to own. He believes the killer is leading them to an old crime book. Amelia goes to the library, where a man who looks like Richard shows her where to find the book she needs. She finds a book titled The Bone Collector and realizes that the killer is copying the crimes described in the book. This helps them figure out where the next victims might be. The police rush to the location to search for the victim. Amelia spots the victim and alerts the police. She tries to save them, and backup arrives to assist her. Unfortunately, they couldn't save the old man, but they managed to revive the little girl. Amelia finds another bone at the scene, leading her to a subway station where she believes Rhyme might be the killer's next target. Chaney angrily goes to Rhyme's house, but the killer is already there. When Thelma goes to answer the door, she's killed with a knife, and Chaney is found dead on the floor. Rhyme tries to call out to Thelma, but there's no response. Then, Richard, who turns out to be the killer, appears and confesses to Rhyme. Rhyme is shocked to see him and notices something odd about him. He asks where Thelma is, but Richard lies and says she's outside. Before Rhyme can answer a call, Richard stops him and says it's time for them to talk alone. Richard reveals himself as Marcus Andrews. He tells Rhyme that a report Rhyme wrote accusing him of framing innocent people ruined his life. Richard blames Rhyme for not giving him a chance to defend himself, leading to 6 years in jail. He admits to giving clues to the killer and blames Rhyme and Amelia for not saving the victims. Richard tries to kill Rhyme in revenge, but Rhyme crushes his hands. Richard pushes Rhyme off the bed and tries to stab him with a knife, but Amelia shoots him from behind. The movie ends with Rhyme deciding not to go through with his plan to end his own life. His sisters and niece visit him for Christmas, along with Amelia and his colleagues.